You gave up on us, now your time is up. I don't need anything.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Non-Weary, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down a future garage track in the style of CloudNone. Now, CloudNone is an amazing producer. He does a lot of work with Monstercat, and so that's the style we're going to try and emulate today. I will be going through his signature style, which is future garage house beats with atmospheric chords and deep bass lines, and you can skip around the video to find the part that you want. We're going to start from the drums up. We're going to build the drums, we're going to build the bass, we're going to do chords, and at the very end, we're going to slap a vocal on top of all that, and it's going to sound great. So I hope you guys look forward to it, and let's get right into it. All right, so I've created a new project, and I have all of my drum samples already loaded in, and we're going to rebuild the drum groove step by step. You can see I have a kick, snare, accent snare, hat, and all these fun guys down here. They sound like this. And then I have a couple loops as well, which I won't play right now, but those are just used on top to add a nice texture to them. We got an open hat and another open hat. So let's start with a 4-bar loop here. And the kick pattern is not necessarily going to be 4 on the floor. It's going to be 1 less than that. So we're going to put a kick here. So that would be 4 on the floor, but we're going to take out these two on the 2 and the 4, and we're going to duplicate it like this. So it's essentially the halftime kick. After the kick foundation is laid, we have the snare here, and the first position we're going to put it is where we would expect it to be, on the 1.2 here. And then instead of putting it like this on the 1.4, we're going to slide it 1/16th note closer to the kick like this to give it a little extra groove. And we'll duplicate that across. Now, we also have this accent snare, which I have added just to put it right at the end over here. And it gives the ending a nice feel. And it kind of rolls into the next bar really nicely. Next up, we've got this hat here. And this hat, what we're going to do is we're going to do an accent hat. I'll put the hat loop in first so that you can hear the foundation hat that we're going for. I found this on Splice, and if you want the sample, it is this one, MJ Cole, Drum Loop Garage Torpedo. It's a really nice sample, and essentially all I did was cut all of the lows out, and I gave it some stereo width just so that it fit better in the mix, and it sounds like this. And so you can already kind of feel the groove starting to take place. Now, this next hat is just going to add to that. Now, for the accent hat, what I would normally do is put a hat like this and have it on every 8th note like this, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I would sidechain it to the kick so it's not interfering. So I'm just going to get rid of this one, honestly. And it leaves us with these 3 like this, overlapping with the snare. And then I'm going to duplicate it across like this. So it adds a 1, 2, 3 after every kick hit, and it keeps the groove going. Next up, I'm going to add this second garage loop, and it has this very nice dark and grungy tone to it, very reverb, and it's a very nice layer to put on top of everything, and it sounds like this. If you want the sample, it is the DG DRM 130 slowed full, and it sounds really nice. I've also done the same thing where I've cut all of the lows, and I've given it 400% width because I just want it super, super wide in the mix so that you can hear it and it adds a nice texture to it. I'm also going to duplicate this across, and here's what we have so far. Now, I also have this open hat here up at the top, and I'm going to throw it in as an accent, I think right here, just at the end of the first bar, and then I'll duplicate this across. It just adds that little nudge forward to keep the groove going. Okay, so this is the first part of the drums that I have in the drop, but in the second part, in the B section, things get a little funky. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to duplicate this over, and then it's not going to change too much. All that we're doing is we're improving the kick to a 4 to the floor. So we're adding in that extra kick. And then I have this open hat here that is being cut short. So I have a large fade in and a large fade out so that it kind of sounds like a shaker, not even like a hat. And I have this going on every off beat, just like this, and then I'll duplicate it over. And now our full beat sounds like this. Now, I think I didn't have it soloed, and you may have heard this guy in here, which is something that I was going to talk about later, but I might as well just talk about it now. This is literally just a vocal stab from Decap. It's really nice, and I just have it swooping in and swooping out with some reverb on it. Very simple. It just adds a little nice stuff. You know, and while I'm at it, I'll do the other effects because there's pretty much nothing going on here. It's literally just during the rise or during the build, you got some white noise and a couple snares going on, and then it's literally just this down sweep during the drop. You want to keep it pretty low energy, but enough to swoop the listener into the drop and make them feel like there's some sort of impact. You don't just want to leave it cut and dry. So that's why I have a little bit of stuff, but not too much. All right, let's move on to the bass line. This is the root note chord progression that I had written for this track. It is G, F, D sharp, and D. So the bass sound design that we're going to be doing in this track is going to be a deep bass line, kind of like a respace, except it's going to be saturated a lot, as you can see here, and it's also going to be having its highs cut out, so to leave room for the vocal and to leave room for the pads. So you can see here that I've also added a utility, which is limiting the width of the bass. And then the actual sound design portion in Serum is a preset that I like to use from MHA's Serum pack. You should go get that if you don't have it already. It's called the Moody Slide Bass 2, and it just sounds like a normal Reese without any processing. Pretty basic, pretty standard, but when you add the processing, makes it a little bit louder, saturates it a bit, and limits the width. So instead of just having a boring old one-step down pattern, we're going from G to F to D sharp to D, I added in these little up slide notes to make the bass more dynamic and for the track to flow along better. And this is what it sounds like. And then you'll see it'll be contrasted with just the plain down-stepping pattern. There's not as much movement. So what I did is I copied this pattern and then I just moved it one step down and repeated the process for the bass just like that because it's pretty simple. And then on the second beats, I added another note just like this. So it kind of moves down into the next bar. And for the chords, I'm using a Labs piano, which is following the same bass line as the bass, obviously. It goes G, F, D sharp, and D. And then I just have some triads and some accent notes on top of it, and it sounds like this. And then I have this chord here right at the end, which is just doing the F chord again with this added C note, which sounds really good next to the D, even though it's not supposed to. I just threw it in. I think it's called like salt and pepper or something. I heard that from another video. I don't know if that's a technical name, but we'll just call it that. I threw it in because it sounded a little bit close together, a little too close, and it creates a little more emotion. And also this chord being right before it goes back to the first chord makes it, the chord progressions tell more of a story. So it goes down, 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 and then slightly back up, and then all the way back up when you start the next bar. So that's why I added that here, and I like to do that a lot with just 4 chords to a progression. Add some variation into the end because the listener is going to get bored if you don't. So we have one of every part of CloudNone, the way he likes to produce music. We have his garage-style drums. We have his ambient pads and pianos. We have the bass, the deep bass and rolling bass. And then we have the minimalistic effects on top of that. And so this is a mini recreation. This is just a copied project of the whole thing that I produced in another one. So I'm going to jump over to that project, and I'll play the whole track for you. I threw in a vocal, I mixed it, and I mastered it, so I hope it sounds good. Make sure to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed, if you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.
It's almost like I missed you, but I could never let myself forget All my love you misused, so I won't play your games. And all the times I feel something, there's a voice in the back of my head telling me to keep running, 'cause all that you are is regret. No, I don't need your love, I don't need your touch, I don't need anything, anything now. You gave up on us, now your time is up.